How long had I been asleep? Where am I? I slowly widened my eyes, seeing a wood panel ceiling overhead as my limbs stretched in the warm futon. Then, when I laid upright from the futon, I noticed another body in the duvet beside me. Yamazaki-san?
雪村君、よかった、気がついたのか。
Are you the one who's been taking care of me while I was unconscious?
当たり前だろう。なかなか目を覚まさなかったから、随分と心配したんだぞ。
I heaved a heavy sigh in relief, attempting to piece together my memories of when I was last awake. I remember now. We planned a rescue mission to Itabashi, an imperial hotbed, in order to save Kondo-san. What happened to Kondo-san and Okita? Are they okay?
そのあたりの事情は私から説明した方が早いだろうな。
Matsumoto-sensei? What are you doing here?
松本先生は俺たちの命の恩人だ。倒れていた俺たちを救ってくださったんだからな。
ああ、私が君たちを見つけたのは幕府陸軍隊の支援をするために会津へ向かう道中のことだった。その途中、板橋宿を過ぎたあたりで行き倒れがいると聞きつけてな。向かった先で君たちの顔を見たときは心臓が飛び出るかと思ったよ。
そうか。I can't believe to thank you enough. It could almost be considered a divine intervention that it was Matsumoto-sensei of all people who'd found us. I lowered my head to bow at him once more, only for Matsumoto-sensei to scratch his head dejectedly.
それより山崎君に聞いたが大変なことになっていたようだな。
We stayed behind from the main troops' vanguard to keep watch over Edo, but then we got word of Kondo-san's capture.
その近藤さんと沖田君はな、残念ながら亡くなったそうだ。
I see. Silence filled the room after Matsumoto-sensei spoke. Although I expected as much, nothing could stop my heart from feeling like it shattered into 1,000 pieces. Soon my eyes were puffy with a stream of tears.
すまん。近藤さんは別としても、沖田君については私の失態だ。まさか療養先から脱走するだけの体力が残っていたとは。
いえ、松本先生の責任ではありません。沖田さんは自らの死地をあの場所だと決めていたんだと思います。
Just like this vast majority of stories where people believe Okita died because he went after a cat to kill it. So technically, he went out on his own terms in that story.
伏して死ぬよりも武士として局長や仲間のために刀を振るって戦って死ぬことを選んだ。あの人はそういうお人です。俺はそんな新選組一番組組長を誇りに思います。
そうか。まったく武士というやつは。
Matsumoto sensei shook his head in frustration, rubbing his temples with his fingers before looking at me.
雪村君、体の方は大丈夫かね。だいぶ衰弱していたようだが。
I'm fine, thank you. But, forget about me. How are Yamazaki-san's wounds?
真っ先に見せてもらったよ。彼が羅刹となったことも聞いた。傷口が再生しないことから察するに、行動さんは羅刹の弱点を知っているんだろう。
Indeed he has. One that we haven't come across before, but now we have, and it's frightening to think about.
小刀に毒でも塗られていたか、材質そのものが毒なのかわからんが、羅刹も万能ではないということさ。
Wait, does that mean Yamazaki-san's scars are permanent?
いや、血は止まっている。羅刹特有の治癒力が働いていないだけで、自然治癒に向かっているのは間違いない。
Oh, what a relief.
だが、傷口が治るまでは少しかかる。ある程度は静養が必要だな。
Yeah, about that.
先生には申し訳ありませんが、そんな暇はありません。行動さんの計画を知ってしまった以上、今後どうするのか考える必要がある。そして必要であれば俺一人でも奴の愚かな野望を叩き潰して、
その羅刹の力を持って敵の羅刹を打ち果たすというのかね。
Matsumoto sensei's face wrinkled with frustration in response to Yamazaki-san's insistent attitude. Yamazaki! Please!
毒をもって毒を制すとの言葉もある。その行動自体を責めることはするまい。だが君は分かっているのか。羅刹の力は自らの寿命を激しく削る。その事実が示すことの意味を。
ええ、俺は一度死んだ身ですから、今さら寿命など恐れはしません。
Hearing Yamazaki-san shed any concern for himself or his future felt like a knife digging underneath my skin. Ugh, I can imagine that in my head, and it's not a very pleasant thing. All of a sudden, my chest tightened in pain, and I did my best to keep my feelings hidden. Meanwhile, Matsumoto sensei shot Yamazaki-san a look of scrutiny.
本来なら羅刹となった君の前で言うべきことではないかもしれないが、それでもあえて言わせてもらおう。羅刹は死者を動かしているも同然の下法。決して君が頼るべき力ではないよ。
その意味では医術も同じでしょう。死ぬはずだった命を救うのが医術ならば、人の命をつなぎ止める落ち水の力も医術と本質的に同じ。
違う。
Matsumoto sensei swiftly denied Yamazaki-san's claim. He kept his composure, taking a deep breath before dismantling Yamazaki-san's argument.
医術とは人を治すための術。患者の心身を正常な状態に近づけて再び立ち上がる力を与えるためのものだ。だが落ち水はどうだ。あれは心身をより狂わせる存在。一時の力と引き換えに頼れば頼るほど人を壊していくだけ。それは生きるための力とは全く相入れない存在だ。
Another heavy sigh came from Matsumoto sensei's mouth as he stepped away from us, placing his hand on the room's exit door handle.
忘れるな、山崎君。羅刹の力は一時の勝利をもたらすが、代わりに君から未来を奪う。君が死ねば悲しむ人間がいる。君の命は君が思うより重いんだ。
Eat away your body and mind. I repeated Matsumoto Sensei's words, letting them sink in as I bowed in front of him as he exited the room. If the risk of using the Fury powers were as costly as Matsumoto Sensei had suggested, it made Father's plot all the more nefarious, as no one should be made to suffer such a horrific condition. I had to steady my anxious hands.
俺たちはこれからどうするべきなんだろうな。
For starters, my father revealed some important information about where the Furies are headed. I guess that means we've completed the mission given to us by the Shinsengumi. But we're not gonna report to the Shinsengumi. But I'm not sure if we should tell them everything that we saw.
理由を聞かせてくれ。
Well, it's just like what you told Kazuma and Amagiri. If our goal is to ensure the survival of the Shinsengumi, who are off fighting their own war, we can't burden them with a task of this magnitude. If you agree with me, Yamazaki-san, then I believe this is best left for you and me to handle. We can't allow the Shinsengumi to spread itself too thin, so it's best if we keep this news to ourselves.
ああ、そうだな。風間や天霧に言われたからではない。俺たち自身の意志で。雪村光道を倒し、羅刹の計画を止める。新選組の誇りに水を差させるものか。
Let's do it. Guys, I haven't had lunch. This is a terrible idea. I need food! The Battle of Toba Fushimi. Why are we back at the Battle of Toba Fushimi? The Battle of Katsunuma. The Shinsengumi's vanguard had departed Edo, battling in Utsunomiya during an arduous trek to Aizu. The fate of Utsunomiya Castle dangled by a thin thread. As the Imperial Army fought to strip the Shinsengumi of their dignity, murdering their soldiers and executing their chief in cold blood, the Shinsengumi persevered, pushing further into Aizu without letting their hopeful light extinguish. It was quite literally do or die, and the Shinsengumi, refusing to whimper like a wounded animal, was edging closer to the second option. If it were at all possible, Yamazaki-san and I would have given anything to join them in this momentous battle. Until we drew our dying breaths, the pair of us would have been there, side by side as the majestic flag of Makoto waved overhead. However, there was a battle of our own, some unfinished business that pulled us away from our friends. It was a battle for retribution. Hopefully, Father would learn to atone for his dastardly sins. Although history would likely contain no record of this battle, it had an impact on thousands of lives, enough to steer our country's path from total chaos. I mean, disaster also works as a word. A few days had passed since, along with Matsumoto Sensei, we entered a secluded hiding place within the shogunate encampment. Summer kissed our sin with humid air, even all the way in the country's northeast, as we awaited news for which we had been growing anxious.
会津の新選組本隊はこれから白川城を攻めるそうだ。
Shirakawa Castle? That's the one that runs along the Oshokaido, right? Do you think Hichikata-san is planning on using that road to funnel and flank the Imperial Army forces?
もちろんそれが最大の目的だろう。だが俺の予想が正しければ白川城を攻める理由はもう一つある。
There was a long wooden table upon which Yamazaki-san sketched a hand-drawn map of the region, tracing the shape of Shirakawa Castle with his finger.
これはまだ噂話に過ぎないが、あの城に新政府軍が入城して以降、周辺の村や町で異変が起きているそうだ。人が忽然と消える。夜な夜な辻切りが出る。そして被害者は執拗に切り刻まれる。
Oh no. Could it be?
ああ、まず間違いない。新政府側の羅刹部隊の仕業だろう。
Do you suspect Hijikata-san to know all of this? Do you think that's why they're heading to Shirakawa Castle? Both Yamazaki-san and I were no strangers to the mettle of the Shinsengumi. In fact, we admired it. Neither the amount nor the power of the Furies could deter Hijikata-san and his men from achieving victory. Still, a haunting thought lingered. If they faced the new heightened furies developed by Father, then massive casualties would be unavoidable. For the Shinsengumi, who were already operating with a less than ideal amount of men, this battle will come to define them and their future. The smaller the Shinsengumi embers in Kyo had grown into a wildfire, burning and burning until everything in sight was engulfed in flames. Fate had a sense of cruel humor, it seemed, and that the Shinsengumi would find its own darkest secret.
それでいいはずがない。たとえ新選組が桜のようにいずれは散りゆく定めだとしても、それはこの戦いにおいてじゃない。だから奴らは俺が倒す。新選組の手を煩わせることなく。
You mean we will? I interjected Yamazaki-san's bow with a quip and a smile. My connection to him deepened as I watched his resolve gather strength throughout our time together. I was becoming swept by a peculiar feeling. I'm aware of the fact that I can't serve beside you on the battlefield, but I'll be damned if we go alone. If fighting's what you want, then I'm staying with you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
だが戦う相手は雪村光道だぞ。君にとっては辛い戦いとなる。
Oh shit. The answer is... I know, I'm ready. I know, but I'm ready for him. If everything he stated back in Itabashi was true, if he aims to sink this country into oblivion just to fulfill some selfish ideology, then I will personally see to it that Kodo Yukimura is killed. As his daughter, this is my burden to bear.
君は強くなったな。そこまで覚悟を決めたなら、もう何も言うことはない。共に行こう、雪村君。
Well, we better get moving. I think there's a lot for us to do before we hit the road. I exhaled a deep breath, preparing myself to stand as I noticed Yamazaki-san in the corner of my eyes. His eyes were shifty, almost evasive, and he remained still despite my segue. Is something wrong? We need to move quickly, or the Shinsengumi will reach the castle before us.
いや、 それは分かっている。だがその前に君へ頼みがあるというか。
A favor? What is it? I don't want you to have any regrets or unfinished business before we embark on this journey.
心残り。心残りか。そうだな。言わなければきっと一生後悔するというか。よし。
Yamazaki-san began taking deep breaths, as if to motivate himself, and he stared intently into my eyes. Conviction burned behind his timid eyes, and for a moment I expected him to challenge me to a duel. Finally, he opened his mouth to speak.
だな。君の血を吸わせてくれないか。
Are you coming down with bloodlust? Yamazaki-san had been fidgeting nervously in his seat, and his breathing had been staggered, which piqued my interest. If that were the case, then I should, as always, for round 4, and for the final time, because I know nothing about Chizuru fruit, for the final time, give him blood. I immediately unsheathed my kodachi and braced myself for the blade's sting against my delicate hand. In a fit of panic, Yamazaki-san reached out, stopping me from cutting my skin open.
いや、違うんだ。今は別に苦しいわけじゃない。ただほら、君は今までもそうして手の甲を傷つけて俺に血を与えてくれていただろう。
Does it seem weird to you? Drinking blood, I mean.
いや、ただだな。これは伊藤さんが西洋の劇作家がどうのと無駄に語ってくれた話だが。
Yamazaki, what? Yamazaki, what?
西洋では手の甲への接吻は忠誠の証を示す代物になるらしい。
Loyalty? I was a bit perplexed as to what Yamazaki-san was saying.
もちろん伊藤さんの無駄な発言を鵜呑みにしているわけではないのだが、最近はどうもそれが気になってしまうんだ。
There's that sprite I love again.
君との関係は忠誠ではなく、もっと対等なものにしたいというか。口づけるならあれだ。同じ場所がいいというかだな。
I drew an invisible line between Yamazaki-san's eyes and what they were pointing towards, noticing they had fixed firmly on my lips. Without speaking, I touched them with my fingers. If my assumptions were correct, it would mean that Yamazaki-san wanted... Is this what you want?
そういうことだ。
By the time I understood the gist of what he'd been getting at, I couldn't help but feel my heart race.
しかしこれはあくまで俺の希望であって、君が嫌だというのなら無理には。
Wait, so you're fine with not doing it?
いや。
I watched as the hesitation left Yamazaki-san's body. He reacted like a child refusing to let go of something precious as he drew me in closer to his body.
嫌だと言っても話はしない。もう二度と君のこと。
There's no way I'd ever let that happen. His timid eyes glowed eagerly, and I bit into my lower lip roughly. At first there was a dull pain, then the metallic tang of blood touched my tongue. It was raw, almost indelible. Yamazaki-san puckered his mouth, and as our lips met, the faint taste of blood became more pronounced. To Fury's, I imagined, this taste was akin to his saccharine nectar of the highest order. We could also just say ambrosia, but alright. For Yamazaki-san, however, he seemed less interested in the tang of blood and more in the passionate embrace of our supple lips. Yamazaki-san's tongue traced shapes around the cut on my lip, flicking at it gently.
痛かったら言ってくれ。
I think many people say this is the best kiss in the game. I'm gonna have to agree. I'm gonna have to agree on that one. If I said that it hurt, would you stop?
それも無理だ。
I was becoming engrossed in the moment that I couldn't hear the sound of my own thoughts. My mind focused solely on the sensation of his tongue, rapidly pressing against the cut to draw more blood in soft, sensuous movements. If my blood has the power to breathe life into you, then... Yamazaki-san, I offer my body to you.
ありがとう、千鶴。
Our kiss resumed, and I lost myself in the scent and warmth of Yamazaki-san's intimate closeness. Father, no, Kodo Yukimura, and his fearsome army of savage furies awaited us in Shirakawa. I clasped a fragile wish in my heart, hoping to stop them before they crossed blades with the Shinsengumi.